Welcome back to Action Figure Obsession. It's me, your old pal, Avian and Loaded, here on the Avian and Loaded channel. And here we have the Slaughter's Marauders. They call it the Mad Marauders, Hasbro, but anybody who knows anything about the history of G.I. Joe, Real American Hero, knows it was originally called Slaughter's Marauders, and I prefer that name. So this is the Slaughter's Marauders Sergeant Slaughter figure, a little kit bash that I was trying out here with the Hydra Brute, one of the Hydra Brute heads from the Hydra 2-pack of Marvel Legends. And this is the, here we go. This is the Sergeant Slaughter head that came with this figure. This was the second Sergeant Slaughter in the G.I. Joe Classified line. As you can see, the skin tones don't quite match, although it looks better in person than it does under the harsh studio lighting here in my advanced action figure recording studio. Let's see, the trying to get it to focus on his face here. That spice rack in the background is a very enticing. Very enticing pattern for the camera. I see it wants to zoom right in on that. Yeah, I'm going to remove that because it's just it's just screwing up all kinds of the focus here. All right, so yeah, this is the Slaughter's Marauders, Mad Marauders, G.I. Joe Classified series, Sergeant Slaughter body with the head from that Hydra Brute. I don't think it quite works. I think the other Hydra Brute unmasked head I think works better. Skin tone is wrong for this one. It's a little too dark, or a little too red. Really, he's very angry. And as you might have noticed, or maybe not, it is also, come on, focus. This head, when I take off Sarge's sunglasses, is actually the head from Nuke, the Nuke that I picked up recently on my tax refund day. It is the Nuke head that they repainted without the flag on it for the Hydra 2-pack to be the Hydra Brute. And I was thinking that, it's a bit gappy there in the back of the head. I was thinking that because the other head, which I turned into my Sergeant Simpson kit bash, which you can see in the G.I. Joe Classified kit bash video that I just uploaded earlier today. But I was thinking, since the Sergeant Simpson head worked so well on the Sergeant Slaughter body, but that was the first Sergeant Slaughter body too. This is the second one. And I think the skin tone of this one, what a manly man. I think the skin tone is a little paler on this one than it was on the first one. I'm not wild about the Mad Marauders slash Slaughter's Marauders color scheme with the green and blue. And at a distance, the head definitely looks a little oversized. More than a little, actually. Let me put Sarge's head back on him. All right, that's better. So here are my two of. I actually have like 5 of the Sergeant Slaughters that you see on the left here. A couple of them kit bashed into other characters in my G.I. Joe Classified display. One is my Sergeant Simpson that I showed you in the earlier video, and another is Double Tap, who I think I showed off a long time ago in a video. Maybe I'll bring him out again to play one of these days. And that utilizes that same Hydra Brute head that I put on my Sergeant Simpson figure. He just doesn't have the sunglasses and the campaign hat. But I thought while we were here, we could take a quick look, compare and contrast between the two G.I. Joe Classified series Sergeant Slaughters. These are mostly like they come out of the box, with one major exception. The one on the left is the first Sergeant Slaughter, which I think might have been number 53. That's the number that comes to mind in the G.I. Joe Classified series. The mainline figures are all numbered. The retro-carded figures and some of the deluxe ones, I think, also are not numbered. Although I could be wrong about that. Maybe the deluxe ones are all numbered, because that would be a good way to con people into buying them. But but anyway, yeah, the retro ones definitely do not have numbers, while the mainline, the ones that you'd find at Target and Walmart in the sort of Marvel Legends style packaging, most of those, if not all of those, have numbers. Oh, the ones that don't have numbers are the Legacy Collection and the 60th anniversary figures. I think that's what I was thinking of. Anyway, and those are deluxe. Boy, I just go on and on and on. The things you people put up with. Anyway, these are my 2 Sergeant Slaughters from the G.I. Joe Classified series. I don't know if they're going to do a third one. I wish I still had one of my my Series 2 Sergeant Slaughters from Valverse Action Force. That was a pretty nice slaughter, too. But, I purged a lot of my Valverse stuff stupidly, and I wish I had kept them because, that represents the Sergeant Slaughter of the near future, whereas this is the Sergeant Slaughter of the mid-1980s from A Real American Hero, the cartoon. And the first Sergeant Slaughter there in the center, he comes with an AK-74, or maybe a modified AK of some kind, which you normally would associate with Russian soldiers, and you would think Cobra would have it, and a lot of the Cobra, like the Cobra officer comes with that, and some of the other Cobra figures as well. It's a really, really nice piece, and I really like it, and I have saved up a whole bunch of them to eventually maybe create some sort of big squad with a whole bunch, because I've got like maybe 20 of them in my fodder bin, all set aside for some special purpose someday. The only thing about them is if they have this, see that on the lower left there, that little thing sticking out of the barrel, that is like a laser sight or a flashlight. The biggest problem with this figure, by the way, is the newer one does not share, is his feet are fairly, they don't really stay stiff, so he tends to kind of lean over and fall over sometimes. I really should get out my Kiki's joint fix and squirt some into his feet so that his feet work as well as the one guy on the right here, the later Mad Marauders / Slaughters Marauders, Sergeant Slaughter. But yeah, a lot of collectors were upset about the fact that the first Sergeant Slaughter there on the left was given an AK rifle, which is generally associated with villains in popular fiction. And somewhat in reality. And, but I mean, to me, the simplest explanation, the easy headcanon is, he got it from a Cobra guy and he cracked him over the head with the buttstock and he went on his merry way, wiping out Cobra with their own weapon. I mean, that's not really out of character for Sergeant Slaughter, is it? I don't think it is. But it's a nice figure, other than the somewhat unstable feet that it has. Comes with a lot of accessories, a whole load of extra hands. He's got his sunglasses, his brown campaign hat, his swagger stick. Comes with a little action figure of Sergeant Slaughter, which I'm realizing I should have gotten out. But it's at the very bottom of my piled up fodder bins, so that would be a lot of noise, and I'm not going to subject you to that. The one on the right, the Slaughters Marauders / Mad Marauders Sergeant Slaughter, is a little different. I think he came with the quote-unquote grease gun, machine pistol, or small machine gun. Where is that? Right here. This one here, which is in its backpack or holster or whatever. I'm not going to put it together, but I think he came with that. I also gave him I think that's an M16 that you see right there. And that is not a Valaverse rifle. That is actually from Mark II Designs. I ordered the if you go to mark2designs.com, the word mark, the number 2.com, or mark2designs.com, I believe it is. Last I knew, he was still selling his 2 weapons packs, and they are excellent accessories for your action figures. They are intended to be painted, so I don't know if the camera is going to pick this up, but they're more of a medium gray than black, so they are intended to be painted by the purchaser, I believe, but I think that they look pretty good in silhouette anyway, from a distance there on the shelf. I don't think they look too bad. Sorry for all the focus issues. I'm not sure what's happening here. But yeah, Mark II Designs, they're actually the primary weapons designer for the Action Force Valaverse line. So a lot of the weapons look very similar to what Valaverse issues with their figures. And those weapons packs were super cheap too. I think they're like $12 each, and you get, I think, 8 or 10 weapons per pack from Mark II Designs. So if you're looking to accessorize out your figures and you want to move beyond the stuff that they usually come with, you can't go wrong with accessories from Mezco or Valaverse. But Mark II Designs, you're going directly to the source and helping the artist out. So, and those 2 weapons packs are a lot of fun. They really are. The other cool thing that this Sergeant Slaughter comes with, you'll notice his campaign hat is green, whereas the one on the left, his was brown. And he comes with a duffel bag that is actually made out of what appears to be canvas. I can't think of what else the material would be. But his duffel bag, and this is fun, I use it to store his accessories. So that duffel bag has his swagger stick and all his extra hands and whatever else he came with that I didn't want to display him with, in the moment. But the color scheme is not my favorite. The green and the blue. I don't have any nostalgia for the Slaughters Marauders from the '80s, which is, I assume, where that color scheme came from. They were always reissuing the same figures in different colors to just, continue to make money off of the body molds that they had already paid for. Tooling an action figure is very expensive. It can cost tens of thousands, even I've heard as much as $100,000 to create the tool, which is the mold that they use to make the action figures out of solid steel. And interesting fun fact about body molds for action figures, I have heard. I think it was a Hasbro executive one time or Hasbro employee was talking about when the molds finally wear out after 10 or 20 years, when they're no longer able to be used to make new action figures, they sell them to be used as boat anchors. That's how heavy they are. The molds for these action figures, they can be used to keep a boat still in the waters of the ocean. So I thought that was kind of a neat little fact. But anyway. Sergeant Slaughter is one of the tallest figures in the G.I. Joe classified line, at least one of the tallest human figures. Serpentor is larger, but of course he is a biologically enhanced clone made of DNA from a bunch of history's greatest autocrats, and also Sergeant Slaughter himself. If you've seen Rise Serpentor Rise, which I think you can watch for free on YouTube, that is a fun movie that tells you about the creation of Serpentor and how he ended up having some of Sergeant Slaughter's DNA inside of him. Boy, that sounded wrong. How he ended up with some of Sergeant Slaughter's genetic material used in his biological makeup. I'm going to say it that way instead. Forget what I just said. But you can't go wrong if you are a Sarge fan. The second season premiere where Sergeant Slaughter shows up and just wades into an army of battle android troopers and kicks their asses, or Rise Serpentor Rise. Gosh, is that the same? Maybe that's the same thing that I'm thinking of. Maybe that was the season 2 premiere. But anyway, that's some of my favorite Sergeant Slaughter stuff. He also appears in the G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero animated film, which I think is also available on YouTube to watch for free, and which also has the greatest opening sequence of anything that ever had anything to do with G.I. Joe whatsoever. That animated opening of the movie, I think it's 3 or 4 minutes long, and it's just G.I. Joe fighting Cobra while the G.I. Joe theme plays, and they're battling in and around and above the Statue of Liberty. That is one of the greatest pieces of adventure fiction film that I have ever seen. The animation in that sequence is absolutely breathtaking. And if you don't come away from watching just that intro to the G.I. Joe animated film, and you should watch just that, there's definitely clips of that on YouTube. If you don't come away from that clip, that opening sequence from the G.I. Joe animated movie, wanting to know more about G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, and all those characters, then I can't help you, because that's what sucked me in. I'm like, wow, this is absolutely amazing. The animation is stunning, but also the character work in the little story that they tell of Cobra's attack on the Statue of Liberty. And it's got nothing to do really with the rest of the movie, but it sets it up beautifully, perfectly. Highly recommended. 10 out of 10. Anyway, Sergeant Slaughter is one of the biggest human figures in the G.I. Joe Classified series line. He shares a lot of body parts with the really good Roadblock that was an Amazon exclusive and was later reissued in a Tiger Force 2-pack. And also Gung Ho, they share some parts. Gung Ho, Sergeant Slaughter, and Roadblock. I can't think if there's a fourth or any other G.I. Joe figures that are built on the same body, but it is a large body compared to the average Marvel Legend. Let me just grab an average Marvel Legend here. Here's Deadpool next to his dad, Sergeant Slaughter. So yeah, Slaughter's like 7 inches, but he is a 6-inch, scale figure. Sorry, Deadpool. He is a 6-inch scale figure, but it's just that Sergeant Slaughter in the G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, and its associated spin-off series and projects, Sergeant Slaughter was a big dude. Robert Remus these days, I'm not so sure, is still such a big dude, but I myself have lost about 2 inches in height over the last 20 years and find that personally devastating, so I'm not going to pick on him for it. Anyway, I wanted to try that kit bash I showed you at the beginning. It sucked. I'm not keeping it. Slaughters, Marauders, Sergeant Slaughter. You get to live for another day, buddy. I'm not going to replace you in my collection because that head didn't work for you, and your sunglasses aren't as bad as I thought they were. Actually, now that I take a good look at them, and I'm not really into professional wrestling, but I do love these Sergeant Slaughter figures. I love Sergeant Slaughter in A Real American Hero. I think that was a brilliant idea, and it worked great in the 80s. And Sergeant Slaughter is just such a fun character. And from everything I've seen of videos talking about meeting him or showing them actually meeting him at conventions and stuff, he seems like he's one of the nicest people that ever lived. So my hat's off to you, Sergeant Slaughter, and your hats are on, so there you have it. Thanks for joining me for this edition of Action Figure Obsession. It's always nice of you to stop by and share some time with me, and I do appreciate that. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell so you find out the next time I upload a video. And if you like this video, if you like Sergeant Slaughter, if you like professional wrestling, if you like G.I. Joe Classified series, if you like G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, if you want to share this with somebody who likes the same kind of crap that you like, the same kind of crap that I like, and no, Sarge, I'm not calling you crap. If anything, I salute you. If you like this video and you think somebody else that might enjoy it, please copy the link, share it hit the share button down there below, and it'll tell you how to send them a link, send your friend a link. I know a lot of people have trouble with this stuff, but YouTube does try to make it easy. So, share a link with anybody you think might enjoy this. Post it on your Facebook or your whatever else you have, whatever other social media you're spending some time on. And I guess I'm really out of words and out of energy and got to go get some caffeine. So that's going to do it for me. Thanks again for stopping by, and I will see you on the next Action Figure Obsession.